So let's be real here. Dustborn wasn't just another game that was built for the modern audience. It was actually built to fail. Now, I know that seems a little bit hyperbolic, a little bit extreme, maybe even over the top, but that doesn't make it any less true. Dustborn wasn't just trying to offer a unique experience that everybody would enjoy. It was setting out to push a neo-Marxist agenda while trying to convince us that it was all just harmless storytelling. Spoiler alert, it's not. In a recent article on That Park Place by John F. Trent, he took a closer look at the game and its messaging. And guess what? We've been talking about this one on That Game Place for quite a while now. Now let me just say this, at least one of us made the bold decision to play it. But don't look at me. I wouldn't touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. And here's the kicker. Dustborn developer Ragnar Tørnquist claims that they never set out to provoke anyone. Yet they also expected backlash. Confused? So am I. But according to an interview with gamer.no, Tørnquist doubled down on this claim, saying they weren't out to provoke, just to create a game with a different set of characters, different characters specifically. But here's where it gets a bit messy. As I said before, they knew full well that gamers would react negatively to the insertion of gender ideology. So let me get this straight. You knew that this would tick people off, but you went ahead and did it anyway. That's not being different, that's intentionally poking the bear. The game studio is Red Thread Games, and I gotta say, I'm not loving the name. Switch out the D for a T, and well, you've got something that actually makes sense, being driven by political motivations. And as with many projects these days, the result was the game that was less about entertainment and more about pushing a specific political agenda. Now, what's even more interesting is how Dustborn was apparently inspired by the 2016 US presidential election. Mind you, Red Thread's located in an entirely other country. And I mean, yeah, the obvious reaction is another game about Trump. It seems the studio, for some reason, which is not located in the United States, was deeply affected by Trump's campaign somehow. So, here's my question. If you're not from the US, how does our president affect you to this level? Unless you're worried, of course, about policies that he might have that would interfere with your, I don't know, global neo-Marxist takeover. Tørnquist's interview over at gamer.no included some real gems. For example, he says that we don't feel like we've made a game that's primarily about politics. It's more about language and relationships between people. Come on, man. We can see what you're doing. You're trying to change the meaning of words and shift the way that people see the world, a tactic that historically hasn't worked out well. See, changing the meaning of words is how authoritarian regimes operate. And if you don't know your history, we're not exactly breaking new ground here. Well, you're not anyway. And let's not forget the gameplay itself. YouTuber Madam Savvy, who's awesome, by the way, pointed out that Dustborn forces players into morally questionable choices. You're literally bullying and manipulating people who don't align with the game's woke ideology. What's worse is that the game doesn't even give you the option to avoid these actions. It's part of the script, it's part of the game, it's built in. And why? Well, because manipulation is the only way that these folks know how to operate. Either that or violence. And you get to do plenty of that in Dustborn. Now, despite the game's poor reception and underwhelming sales, Tørnquist continues to gaslight the audience, claiming that Dustborn isn't a flop and will eventually find its modern audience. Sure, buddy. I'm sure those 27 modern audience members will keep you afloat for the long term. So I have a question. Have you actually played Dustborn? Did you see this thing coming a mile away like I did? Let me know what you think and put those thoughts down in the comments below. Oh, and while you're down there, be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel, because about 70% of you are newcomers or repeat visitors, but for some reason are not subscribed. So turn that little red button to gray, turn on the notification bell, and hit that like button for me, please. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.